Welcome to the Political Vigilante. I'm Graham Elwood. I want to talk about an article that was in Bloomberg.com entitled "There Was Nothing Normal About America's Freakish Winter Weather." And it was written by Brian Sullivan. It came out April 10th. And what it basically is doing is going into all the kind of crazy weather patterns we've had just this past winter and comparing it to past years and showing how insane it is. Now, I've talked at great length on this show about climate change, and this is just more hard evidence that it's real and how it is going to impact us. And I bring this up again just because A, it's more evidence, B, it's another reason why Trump's climate change denying cabinet is something to be very, very concerned with. And also explains, again, it ties into Syria, as I've said. That's all about oil and Russia needing oil to sell to Western Europe and Russia needing it itself. And we need oil for us and our oil people. So that's really what is happening and has been happening in the Middle East for a while, is it's just a big fight over super greedy people over who gets the oil to plunder and ruin the earth. And so I'll just go into some of the stats from this because it's mind-boggling to me when people, that more people aren't paying attention to this. I understand the greedy corporate people, why they're doing it. They're evil and they're shooting themselves in the foot because if the human race is extinct, they're not going to have a private jet to fly around on. I don't know if they get that, or they just think, well, we'll all colonize the moon or something like that. I just don't think any of them get it. But here's some of the statistics. The winter of 16-17 marked the second mildest on record, according to Jake Crouch, a climate scientist with the National Centers for Environmental Information. February, which has been warming faster than any other month through the decades, also was the second warmest in the 138-year global record. Now, I know some people this is just weather patterns are cyclical. Really? Oh, okay. I guess all that smog isn't doing anything. There were some bizarre temperature readings along the way, like a high of 70 degrees Fahrenheit in Chicago on February 18th, or 72 degrees in Boston less than a week later. The month was so mild that natural gas inventories rose earlier than in any year going back to 1994, and plants threw off winter's yoke and began to grow. Then March chill. You're seeing just crazy weather patterns. So now here in California, we got a crazy cold and wet winter, which in one sense was a good thing because now California is no longer in a drought. We had 5-6 years of drought. This winter wiped it all out. But what was getting kind of crazy during this was some of the dams were starting to overflow. And this is what is part of climate change, is the extreme weather pattern. So we go 5 years of little to no rain and snow in the Sierras, and that got really serious. And we were water restrictions, and they still have plans, like programs. If you have a lawn, if you put in fake grass or drought-resistant plants, basically desert plants, they have all kinds of plans. Every different municipality has all different kinds of plans. So got really extreme, and then the flooding was getting really bad. So that's the thing with climate change. It gets really extreme, and if we don't do anything about it, it's going to get worse. So here's another quote. So extreme weather can intensify damage because it takes people by surprise, said Lou Gritzo, vice president and manager of research at Johnson, Rhode Island's FM Global, one of the largest commercial property insurers. That's why it's in Bloomberg. This is when you see the impact of complacency, said Gritzo from the company's Norwood, Massachusetts Research Center. Historically, there are more severe consequences after a period of calm. That's part of it too. If you talk about climate change, insurance institutions have said that they've been paying out way more claims in the last 15, 20 years. And then when you have the extreme dry weather in many parts of the country, especially in the West, in the Rockies, you have more wildfires. Through March 24th of this year, 2.1 million acres had burned across the U.S., according to the U.S. National Interagency Fire Center in Boise, Idaho. 6 times the decade average for the first quarter. Humans started many of the fires, but warm and dry weather spread them, according to Jessica Gardetto, spokeswoman for the center who coordinates wildfire fighting, which is just is crazy. 486 of them also brought tornado reports since the start of the year. That's almost a record. Tornadoes started to get all the way up into Massachusetts. They're not used to getting one. The last time they had one in Massachusetts, up in Maine, I think, was in the 1600s. So this is something to pay attention to, and it's all the more reason to try to do several things. Block Trump and his people, but also why I've talked about voting out the fake liberal Democrats, the fake corporate Democrats that support this kind of shit and don't subscribe to the corporate news. As I did a story. The corporate media last year did 50 total minutes about climate change. And they'll always have some jackass on, well, let's test both sides. And someone like Marco Rubio or Ted Cruz or one of those idiots will say, oh, there's no climate change. It's all just, hippie science or whatever. So when you start again, you follow the money. You look to the money. You look how much is being spent from insurance, from damage, from all the stuff we're having to spend. So climate change doesn't create more hurricanes. It just makes them more severe. And it's something to pay attention to. It's another reason to vote with your dollars. It's another reason to use less of their filthy fucking oil. And, I used my bike and public transportation a bunch just this past week. So I had 2 days the last week where I didn't use my car at all. That's what I try to shoot for a week. Little things like that. Do what you can. And support independent media. Because no oil company is going to pay me. If I start talking about, maybe I was wrong about climate change, someone either has brainwashed me or they paid me so much money I've just given up. Or something like that. Or I don't know, they've threatened me or something. But thanks for supporting the show. Go to the Patreon, support independent media. Like this, subscribe it, and share these videos in your social media, which I've seen many of you do, which is very cool. Thanks for watching.